Hi guys, Peter here once again. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday. Okay, time for some viewer stories, or it's a viewer story today. As I explained to you last week, as you're reading this, I will be in Thailand. This is a pre-recorded story video, and the reason I've pre-recorded it is I just don't want to sit in a hotel room telling these stories when I'm actually in Thailand itself. But on the other hand, I didn't want you guys to go without anything. A lot of guys have joined just for the story, so it's a very shortened down version, but at least there's something here. So let me just go straight ahead and read this.
สวัสดีค่ะ
My name is Ian and I'm from Australia. This story is about my first trip to Thailand. It was 2007. I was 20 years old. Myself and 4 other friends organised a 3-week holiday through a travel agent. I travelled with 4 other friends and our itinerary started at Koh Samui, Phuket, Pattaya, then off to Bangkok. I was unfamiliar about the go-go bar concept and all other things associated with that scene. The day came when we flew off to Thailand. 9 hours later we arrived in Bangkok, then took a transfer to Koh Samui. We were fairly exhausted when we checked into our hotel, but the excitement of being in a new country gave us the energy to go out and explore that night. After a nice dinner we wanted to get down to business and check out the nightlife. I don't know what Koh Samui is like now, but back then it appeared quite underdeveloped. I wasn't too worried as it was the company that made the experience. Anyway, after a walkabout we found ourselves in the bar area. We walked past a few go-go bars and the girls outside were really talkative. I guess they could tell we were new in town and they could see our eyes light up when they spoke to us. We were surprised how available these girls seemed to be. Koh Samui was great, but it seemed more like a couple's retreat than a location that was created for 20-year-old guys. A couple of the guys ended up with some bar girls, one ended up with one of the hotel staff. Anyway, moving on to Phuket was a little more adventurous. We found ourselves on Bangla Road and frequently visited this one bar. The Mama-san really loved us as we were fun and brought a good vibe into the bar, not to mention the money we spent. But she genuinely liked us and even invited us to her apartment for an early dinner a couple of days later. We accepted the invite and she would tell us stories about her Mama-san job and give us an insight on how the go-go bars operate. Almost 15 years later, I still remember her. However, I found out several years ago she passed away. It's a shame really, as the guys went on their second trip to Thailand. They visited her and she still kept a picture of us all from our first trip behind the bar. I couldn't make the second trip and apparently the Mama-san was really sad that I wasn't there. On a side note, I really feel for these girls and the Mama-sans as they have to drink almost every night as part of their profession. The job is quite taxing on the health and well-being of those workers, but I guess it's just part of the life over there. Anyway, I found a nice girl to keep me company at the bar we frequently visited. However, a new girl I had not seen working there started working behind the bar. She wasn't a dancer, but was just there to help out. I really liked her and I asked some of the other girls and the Mama-san on what the deal was. They told me that she had a boyfriend and only serves drinks here. I guess word got to her that I was interested and one of the girls said, okay, if you like her, you pay 2,000 baht. I said, yeah, no problem. I would like to buy her a drink and talk to her. However, they said no. The bar staff must not know, just wait till after work and she will come with us. Later that night, she came over to me and emphasised that nobody must know that I am going home with you. I wasn't really sure why she was worried about me when I'm sure half the bar already knew anyway. I assured her that I wasn't going to tell anyone, especially if she had a boyfriend. Closing time came, but I couldn't find her. The girls we were with asked around and tried to find her. A few moments later, they said she had to go home because she was feeling sick. I can only assume that she got cold feet and changed her mind. Unfortunate because she was a real stunner and it would have been great to get to know her. Moving forward to Pattaya, I will just have to say at the outset that this city is something special. I have never experienced a place like this. Having visited Koh Samui and Phuket, Pattaya just really blew it all out of the water for me. Our first night we went to Walking Street. I said to myself, why did we even bother to go to those other places? This place has everything. After a couple of nights of good fun and drinking, I found myself at a go-go bar called Sharky's. I caught the eye of a girl there and we started talking. I can tell she liked me and I told my friend. My friend said it's her job to like you, don't be stupid. Although I understood what he was saying, I thought I would just test the waters anyway. I asked her what she was doing after work and she said nothing. We kept on talking and the mama-san insisted I pay a bar fine for her. I said no, I just enjoy her company, but I think they knew what I was up to. I told her that my friend and I are going to Lucifer's after that. She should join us. She said sure, and she'd give me a call later. The mama-san knew what we were up to, but couldn't stop us from meeting after work. The mama-san and some of the girls told me that the girl I was talking to didn't like me. I just said, okay, no problem, shortly after we left, as we didn't want to upset the mama-san and the bar staff any further. It was around 2 a.m. and she messaged me that she finished work. I replied to her and we met up at the ice cream shop where we then went to Lucifer's. We had a few drinks there and danced for a little bit. We both went home, but at that time my friend and I were in a twin room. We went onto the balcony while we did our thing. I felt kind of bad that my friend had to wait outside while I was getting acquainted. I finished early because my friend was knocking on the door, being a nuisance. I can tell she was kind of disappointed because she probably wanted more, and now I felt for her, as was probably an anticlimactic for her. Well, that's my story about my first trip to Thailand. Since then, I've been to Thailand 5 times. I hope my story wasn't too hard to follow, but I am happy to share my other stories with you. I thank you. I think my first trip to Thailand will always be the best memory. Yeah, most guys say that, their first trip to Thailand, that's the one that stands out. The only thing I'd say, he told his story quite well in the fact that he kept it clean for YouTube. He wasn't too detailed. And yeah, good bit of advice there. If you and a friend are going to Pattaya, don't take a twin room, you will regret it. Something I'd just like to talk just to fill a couple of minutes time here. Something I'd like to talk about, something I hear quite often from people who have never been to Thailand. They'll say, you know, the girls in the bars, they're forced into it, they're trafficked into it, they've got no choice, they're enslaved in this this business. And I can tell you, it isn't actually the truth. There might be some truth in it, you know, with the odd girl, but most of the girls, if they're uneducated, they come from the farming communities in the north of the country, a region called Isan, and their only options, because they're not really educated, their only options are factory work, and the factory work pays peanuts. I mean, literally peanuts. And the girls are so devoted to their families that they'll literally do most things to make sure that they can send enough money to feed their families. That's what they do. They're actually devoted to them, and especially their mothers. Now, most, and I emphasize most of these girls, they make a conscious decision and they decide to go and work in these bars because they can earn 10 times more what they would be earning in a factory. And of course, when you're in a little village in Isan and your girlfriend that you went to school comes back and she's covered in gold, she's got the latest iPhone, and she's got, you know, lots of cash in her back pocket, you're going to look at her and think, well, you know, why is she in that position? I'm in this position. And a lot of the time their friend will say, look, come down, I'll introduce you. And that's how it goes. So to anybody who's watching, I'm not condoling it, you could say. It's not that. I just wanted to make it clear to anybody who hasn't been to Thailand. It is a conscious decision for most of the girls. And as I said, I'm sure there is the odd occasion where it's not. And obviously, I'm like anybody else. I feel very badly for these kind of girls. All right, so I can't, as I said at the beginning, I can't give you my schedule because I'm in Thailand now as you're listening to this. I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm filming, but all I'll say is next Saturday I will release at least 1 to 2 more pre-recorded stories. So guys, thanks again once again for listening to this, and I'll talk to you all next Saturday again.